Hey everybody, Rhett Thompson here. We talk about film and photography and cameras and gear all the time, but this time, with the holidays coming up, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite gifts I got somebody, one of their favorite gifts I got them, and it's not a pro camera, but it is camera related, and it is this. This is a old school, like vintage Polaroid camera. And so why is this one of the best gifts I got that person, and why is this potentially a gift you should consider getting people in your life? That's something we're going to talk about right now. Oh, and I think I might have neglected to mention why you would take Polaroid photos, and well, I mean, they just look awesome. If you don't somehow know what a Polaroid is, it's one of those cameras where you'll be able to pop it open, you hit the button, you take the picture, and the picture comes out of the camera right away. Give it a couple minutes in a dark place. You don't have to shake it, even though you see people in movies do that all the time. You don't have to shake it, then it's a physical picture, you don't have to print it out. It's there, ready to go. So, why is this such an amazing gift? Well, if this is for, you know, a significant other, one of your parents, whether they're a pro photographer, whether they're an amateur, you know, it's good for pretty much anybody. And I think most people will be able to take advantage of it and have a good time with this. So if they're, if they're a relative newcomer to photography or not really a serious photographer, just getting snapshots and things like that, this is actually pretty great because even the oldest vintage models up to the newest cameras are all pretty much fully automatic. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what the mechanisms are from a camera from like the 70s to be automatic, but yeah, you really just pop it open, there's a flash, you take the picture, you're good to go. And you might be thinking, well, if they're like a professional photographer, you know, why would I get them this? If they wanted it, surely they'd have one already. And yeah, they might be like me, where it's like, oh, I've got a professional camera. Oh, if I'm gonna do film, I'm just gonna buy a 35mm film camera, stuff that they haven't done. And so if you get this camera for them, I guarantee photographers will use it and be interested in using it and doing creative stuff with it. I think there's just a stubbornness to professional-ish photographers who haven't got the Polaroid yet, or maybe they just haven't got around to it. So I think, again, either someone who just shoots on their iPhone or someone who's got a big DSLR or something, I think both of them will like and appreciate this camera and these cameras for different reasons. If you're a more serious photographer, something like this One Step that I got, this is a really cool old one. The reason I got this is because it actually has, you know, I don't know if most have this, but it's like a basic exposure compensation to make it slightly brighter or darker. And then right here is actually like a close-up filter. So if you want to focus closer than, what is it? Yeah, 4 feet away, if you're gonna focus into the sort of 1 to 2 foot range, there's a close-up filter on this, which for the vintage sort of Polaroids is not super common. Maybe the newer ones have it these days, I'm not sure. The vintage ones, the new ones, they all are kind of cheap, kind of expensive, who knows the price range. But why is this specifically like an amazing buy for a gift? Well, in my opinion, it's really the gift that keeps on giving, because with a Polaroid camera that uses film, every single holiday or birthday or whatever, you're gonna be able to pick up one of these and throw it in the gifts for that person. And that's pretty sweet, because I have a hard time buying people gifts. I have a hard time picking things out. And so if I can buy some, like, I mean, the film for this is relatively expensive compared to like the Fujifilm or whatever, but the Fujifilm's pictures are way smaller as well. So with an I-type or with an old school vintage Polaroid camera, you can buy film pretty much every single holiday. And not just film, you know, you get something like this too. Buy them a bag for the camera, you know, like this is a pretty nice bag. It's actually a Polaroid bag. And so, you know, this is something that will really help protect this thing, because again, I don't know how sturdy this thing's built. It is all plastic and it is old, but here you can just put it in there, you're good to go. It even has like slots for extra film and stuff like that. And that's another thing that was just another gift. And so both for the receiver of the gift and the giver of the gift, which would be you in this case, it's just the gift that keeps on giving. Makes it easier for you to buy gifts for that person, and it helps continue that person's experience with the camera and with photography. So now I guess I'll talk a little bit about if you should buy a vintage camera like this guy, or if you should buy maybe a newer camera like an I-type camera that's made in just the last couple of years. Well, personally, I went with a vintage camera because I know my girlfriend's personality type. I know she would enjoy this sort of vintage retro aesthetic, and it had the close-up filter. It didn't seem like it was going to hold her back in any way from a photography standpoint. So, oh, and yeah, it was cheaper too. So yeah, it was just a great option at the time. I've seen the prices fluctuate quite a bit, but I just go on eBay, read the description, use PayPal and all the, you know, protections that provides to you, and make sure the camera is working and tested before you buy it, which is what I did. The second type of camera you can buy is what's called an I-type camera. And so the interesting thing about Polaroid cameras is, I'll get the film back out again. This film actually includes 8 photos, but it also includes the battery. So you actually need to have the film in the camera for it to work. I mean, it doesn't like turn on or show you anything in particular, but still, it's interesting that that design from back in the day with the battery in the film was implemented, and it's a pretty interesting design. Not sure if it's the way I would have gone, but back in the day, maybe the batteries weren't as good for internal in the camera. Maybe they didn't have chargers. I don't really know the reason. The reason you might want to get a newer camera is it's going to be more expensive up front, but those I-type cameras also take I-type film, which from my understanding, the battery is now inside the camera and not inside the film. I mean, you can still use, you know, like the normal Polaroid film like this one with the battery in it in the I-type cameras, but you don't have to. There's specific I-type film that works in those cameras as well that doesn't work in the vintage cameras, because the I-type film does not have a battery in it. The newer cameras supply the power, they come with chargers, all that type of stuff, which in turn makes the old style of film a little more expensive and the new I-type film a little cheaper. So if you're looking to save money long term and really going to take this, as I said, like the gift that keeps on giving, make this a continued thing that happens, well, that I-type camera might save you money in the long run, as opposed to the vintage one we talked about earlier. In making this video, I became aware of the Polaroid Go Instant Camera. It's $99, and I've heard some mixed reviews on it, but the biggest thing for me with the Polaroid Originals and the I-type is the prints are so big, and for this they seem kind of small, along with like Fuji cameras, so I'd still go with the Polaroid I-type or Polaroid 600. In terms of types of film, I've only used a couple types. There's the color, just normal color with the white outline, classic, you know, Polaroid, and then there's a black and white version of that as well that we like pretty well. I think it has a really cool aesthetic and a really cool vintage feel to it, and the only thing with that is I feel like it comes out a little darker than I would otherwise like it to, so maybe bump that exposure slider up to the light side a little bit. And then there is a yellow film, which is just like black and white with a yellow filter kind of. It looks, I don't know, I kind of like it, but it is weird. And then there's a couple other unique ones with like different borders and stuff like that, but you know, black and white, black and yellow, and color, pretty much the main 3. And then for the I-type, there's a bunch of stuff that I'd love to try out someday, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think Polaroid cameras, the film, the bags, the accessories, maybe a second camera down the line, who knows. It's all super great for gifts, and if you're looking for either an amateur or a professional photographer, I think it's a great gift and a great way to go for this Christmas, for their birthday, in the future, whatever. So anyway, guys, I know it's a kind of not on brand video for me, but I just wanted to get this message out there for a long time and hopefully help you guys out if you're, you know, someone that struggles with gift buying, kind of like me. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. If you want to see more videos like this or more videos that are just about general camera stuff, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. Anyway, happy holidays.